Alright, these are our notes for section 4.4 and 4.5 day 2 on triangle proofs. And we're going to look at how to set up a proof today and how to prove that triangles are congruent. Well, we've already looked at the 5 ways to show triangles are congruent, and they are side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and then that fifth one, HL, remember, is only for right triangles. Alright, those are your 5 ways to prove that triangles are congruent. And we're going to use one of those 5 ways in each proof we do today to show that our two triangles are congruent. Now these are easier than our other proofs we did back in chapter 2, and the reason they're easier is because our answer has to be one of these 5 things. We know where we're going, okay? You're shooting for one of these 5 different ways to prove triangles are congruent. So you should have a plan. It should be one of those 5 things, okay? Let's review real quick how to set up a proof. Remember, you need a statement and a reason column. Statements go on the left, reasons go on the right. A couple things to remember, that you need to number the steps on both the statement and the reason side. Okay? So 1 and 1, 2 and 2, all the way down through however many steps you need. That first step should be the given statement. Okay, that they give you in the problem. First step is always the given, and your last step, whatever number it may be, should be the prove statement. Okay, so number your steps. First statement is always given, last statement is always the prove statement. And we've talked about these questions before here also. First one, do the triangles share anything? And if they do, you need to mark it congruent. Mark it congruent in your picture. And when you show that in your proof, it's going to be the reflexive property, because whatever piece that is going to be congruent to itself. Okay? So mark them congruent in your picture, and then it's the reflexive property in your proof. Number 2, are there vertical angles? If there are, you need to mark them congruent, because we know that vertical angles are congruent. And the reason in your proof today would be the vertical angle theorem. So make sure you remember that. Okay? Vertical angles are always congruent. The reason they're always congruent is because of the vertical angle theorem. The last one, are there given or marked parallel lines? If there are, you need to make sure that you've shown that they're parallel. The lines won't necessarily be congruent, but you may have alternate you may have alternate interior angles. And we know that if our lines are parallel, our alternate interior angles are congruent. So you'll be able to mark them congruent. And you would write down for your reason that alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, that's one of the theorems we learned in chapter 3. Another thing to remember is that you're going to have to label your pictures, so make sure you do that as we're going through these. Okay, we're going to do one proof. This is our only example. It says that given TV is congruent to QS and angle V is congruent to angle S, we need to prove that triangle TVR is congruent to triangle QSR. And remember, the reason for that last proof statement should be one of those 5 things at the top we wrote down. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side, or HL, okay, if they're right triangles. If we look at our picture over here, we know that they're not right triangles, so we can rule out HL. It's not going to be HL. Let's set up our proof. Okay, 2 columns, statement column and a reason column. Remember that first statement should always be the given, so we're going to copy it down. TV is congruent to QS, and angle V is congruent to angle S. Reason is given, because it's given to you. So let's mark it. TV, QS, angle V, and angle S are congruent. Alright, step 2, just like in our other proofs, step 2 should be to look at your picture and figure out something that's going on there, something you see is true. And ask yourself those questions at the top. Do they share anything? Are there vertical angles? Are there given or marked parallel lines? Because that should tell you what the next step would be. Well, I don't see that they share anything other than point R, and we can't use that information because there's no point in any of our triangle congruent stuff. Okay, vertical angles. Well, I do see vertical angles here. I see angle 1 and angle 2. Okay, and I know that they're congruent because they are vertical angles. So step 2, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Your reason should be the vertical angle theorem. All right, I don't see any marked parallel lines, or there's not given parallel lines, so we're going to skip question 3. Now I'm going to look at what the picture gives us. Well, I have a side, an angle, and an angle. Okay, so here's an angle, here's an angle, here's my side. Here's an angle, here's an angle, here's the side. That looks an awful lot like A, S. Okay, angle, angle, side, and it matches up with their other triangle. They go in the same order. 1 and 2, they're congruent. V and S, they're in the same places, they're congruent, and then our sides are congruent. So we've actually proved it now. Okay, we've shown that those two triangles are congruent, and we've marked it here in our picture, and they're going to be congruent by angle, angle, side. Now we need to finish out our proof. We need to write down the proof statement. So step 3, triangle TVR is congruent to triangle QSR, and the reason again is angle, angle, side. So just remember as you're working through these that you need to shoot, that your goal is to get to one of those 5 things. It should be side, 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 angle, side, angle, 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 side, or HL. And remember, HL is for only right triangles. It should be one of those 5. Okay? And those are your notes for section 4.4 and 4.5 on writing triangle proofs.